Hello, welcome to the Alone Show. I'm your host, John Alone. In this episode, not gonna have any regulars, because reasons, as always. Oh well. As for our guest, he is from Billings, Montana. He works in consulting, he's a nurse, and a disaster manager. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you David Nordell.
Hey, Jame, how are you doing?
Going great.
Yeah,
So,
well, sure.
so, how's life?
Life is maximum fabulous, Jame.
Ah, very good. Have you been up to much recently?
Yeah, I have. I've been busy. As you know, we'll talk to some of it. I've been busy with a couple of passions, and as I transition into retired life after a full military career, I'm really in a. My genre is giving back and taking all the gifts of life and seeing if I can't do some things with it to help people grow and become better leaders and better people. And I'm really passionate about helping my veteran brothers and sisters transition in the easiest way from military service back into civilian life.
Hmm. All right then. So, out of between consulting, a nurse, and a disaster manager, which of the three did you enjoy doing most of?
Oh, I think my job in nursing is so rewarding, and I did it. I worked at all levels of nursing. My job in nursing was so rewarding because you have your hands on people every day in the right way. You're making a difference. You can kind of see the fruits of your labor on a daily basis. And anytime that you can be involved in taking somebody that's in need, especially with their health, and getting them back to a state of normalcy and give them back to their families and their loved ones in a way that they're functional again. That's pretty rewarding. Not that the other two are not, but nursing and taking care of people is pretty rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. And how long have you worked as a nurse for?
Well, my career in the military, which took me to medicine and to nursing, started in 1984. So uh, there's almost 40 years of nursing experience there. As I get a little older, I do a little more mentoring and coaching with nurses and a little less hands on. But yeah, 40 years of nursing. Keep my license current, still ready to go if I'm needed on the front lines.
Hmm, very intriguing. And and as a disaster manager, how long did that go on for?
Sure. So probably 30 years of doing disaster management. And, when I went to graduate school or upper level school, that was for disaster management. And, I'm the guy, people say, what's a disaster manager? I'm the guy that tells you to get out of the way when there's a fire coming or to evacuate when there's a storm coming or those kind of things. And then you do all the preparedness pieces uh, for that. So extremely rewarding and extremely challenging during COVID. Disaster managers were very, very much in the front of COVID and preparing their communities to work through the pandemic.
Hmm, very nice. And how could you tell if a disaster is coming or is about to approach?
Sure. So, disaster managers work off of vulnerability analysis or vulnerability assessments. And so you have to look at your surroundings. You have two types of main disasters, right? Man-made disasters like a train tipping over and spilling something, or you have natural disasters, which is a hailstorm, wind, tornado, hurricanes, those kind of things. And so obviously, you're in Manchester, so Manchester probably has never had a hurricane, and if they have, it was mild compared to what a real hurricane looks like. So I wouldn't worry a lot about hurricanes in Manchester. But what would I worry about? I'd probably worry about train accidents or motor vehicle problems or things that are in communities like chemical plants and those kind of things. So depending on where you're at, what the hazards are, natural and man-made hazards are, and then what the probability is that they may happen. So some places every year have a big snowstorm or a big wind event. In our Midwest in the United States, we have tornadoes every year. So if you live in those areas, you have to prepare for that. And so you spend a lot of time working on those things because the probability is higher, and that's where you put your resources because you only have so much.
Ah, all right then. So, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Tough question. I love my country. I love the United States, and so it would be blasphemous for me to say anything other than the United States. And I do believe that we're very fortunate here, and I love it. But I have lived around the world, and I've lived in certain places. Uh, if my wife was here, she would say England because we just enjoyed our time there. We did 2 3 year stints in England, and my boys went to school there, so a lot of good memories. And but if I had, I guess if I had to pick one, I really enjoyed time in Turkey. I enjoyed the Turkish people, at least during the time frame that I was there. It was very enjoyable, and the Japanese were wonderful. So uh, that didn't really answer your question to one spot, but any of those would be right at the top of the list.
Hmm, very good. What's your favorite season?
Well, especially here and in Montana, fall is my favorite season because that's when the majority of the activities that I enjoyed to that I enjoy doing, coming out of the summer and the fall, the fishing and the hunting and the change from from the summer to the 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 end of the end of the growth cycle and kind of getting into the renewal period or at least getting into winter. So autumn is my favorite time of year.
Hmm, very good. Very good. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
Total dog person. Have nothing against cats, but I'm a total dog person um, for a variety of reasons. Dogs are uh, they're intelligent. They're extremely loyal. There's something that's therapeutic about a dog, about petting a dog and interacting with a dog. I guess cat people would say the same thing. And dogs, are useful in a lot of ways. They give you a sense of security, and some, you have dogs that hunt, you have dogs that work, with livestock and those type of things. So there's utility to dogs also. So, but I love their loyalty.
Ah, very good. What's something that was once important, but it is now becoming less and less relevant?
As I get a little older, I think that news, mainstream media, the consumption of what's going on, around me and in the world, those things that I have no control over that are kind of really out of my boundaries. When I was younger, I used to consume a lot of that, kind of consider that staying up with current events or knowing what's going on out in the world, and I guess it makes for good conversation. I've found that it kind of wears me out. One is whatever the news is, good or bad. Most of it I can't do anything about other than control my space that I'm in. So um, it's that's become extremely less important in my life. Consuming that, keeping up on things is one thing. Being consumed by the story and either the tragedy or the the celebration that goes along with it, it's just kind of out of bounds, out of my boundaries, and I choose to use my energy elsewhere.
All right, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fairly liberating when you get to that point where you just have this epiphany that that stuff's not necessary for you to navigate the world and to take your energy and use it on things where you can get tangible results.
Yes, absolutely. What was the strangest dream you've had?
Wow. Um, there's been boy, there's been a lot. Let me use one that's recent. Uh, I had this dream that I was doing this task, and it was an extremely simple task, and I couldn't accomplish it. And it was so real, and it was almost like I was awake living it. And what was going on in the dream wasn't so much about the fact that I this task that I knew how to do I couldn't accomplish. It was the fact that there was people in the dream that I really really cared about, that really really cared about me, and nobody would help me. They found it almost amusing that I could not do this thing, and drove me absolutely crazy. And normally dreams I just shake off pretty early after I wake up and go, okay, well, it's just a dream and move on. That one I dwelled on for about a day or so. I thought, what was going on there? Why did everybody abandon me? So maybe there's more to it.
Hmm. All right then. What's the most useful thing you own?
Probably my pickup because it's an extension of me. So when I leave home, there's certain things that I have in my truck that go from everything from uh, basic survival stuff if I get stranded to uh, a little bit of water, a little bit of food, and everything in between uh, that is kind of there. And so when I'm in my truck, not only do I have mobility, but I can do quite a few things. I can fix things, and I got my tools with me, and uh, and those type of things. So I use that for a lot of things. So I enjoy having a truck as an extension of my house or my home, and it's a safe space for me. So I like that.
Hmm. Very good. What is the best way to start the morning?
Make your bed. Once you've made your bed, you've actually accomplished something for the day. And no matter which way the day starts to take you, good, bad, indifferent, good day at work, bad day at work, we should all feel like we've accomplished something. And if you can get up and make your bed, you've got the first thing of the day done. Um, I think that that's really important. Other than that, I exercise every morning. I do a lot of walking, and so I think that that's very important. If you're a morning person and that's something you enjoy, you should do that. That's a great way to start the day.
Yeah, indeed. What is your favorite activity?
Well, I like my sport, um, to include football, your football, the European football,
Ah,
and this may make you laugh, Jame, but I'm a diehard Sunderland fan. So uh, I've had a little bit of pain over the last 4 or 5 years. Hopefully, it'll get better next year. But I do enjoy my sport. I like to spend some time getting to know it, second and third layers and the players and a little bit about them and those type of things. So if I was just to sit down and watch TV or to do something, it would be probably around sport. But I like to be outside. I hunt, I fish, I hike. I like to be out in nature. Montana offers a lot of that, so this is a good place for me. To include the question about what season is my favorite, because I'm sure autumn doesn't get picked very often. So
yeah, absolutely. If you could turn any activity into an Olympic sport, what would you have a good chance at winning a medal for?
hmm. Creativity and innovation. I'm a strategy person. I can look at things and do problem solving. 3, 5, 10 years out, and can come pretty close. So yeah, problem solving. If they had problem solving in the Olympics, I would probably be a representative of the United States.
Yes, that's very good. They should do something like that more often at the Olympics.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't
Oh,
that be
yes.
great? Crossword puzzles and all the other stuff, Rubik's cube, and yeah, I mean, because we talk about the Olympics being physical, but having mental acumen in certain areas is, I think, is just as extraordinary.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. If your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be?
Hmm. My life would be a full 7 course meal, and it would have an incredible appetizer and a dessert that would be like nothing that you've ever had, and something in the middle that is a cross between Sunday roast and bubble and squeak. So how's that?
Yes, very fabulous.
Yeah.
How did you spend your last birthday?
Fishing in Canada. I was walleye fishing in Canada on a lake called Lake Diefenbaker in Saskatchewan, Canada, with uh, with my wife and a couple of good friends. And it was a very hot day. Had a big thunderstorm that day. Caught some fish. It's great.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Oh,
Going to do it again
yes.
this year with this. I'm doing it in a couple weeks. My birthday's in a couple, well, about 3 weeks. So we're going to do it again.
Ah, all right then.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
perfect.
Yeah. If you could use magic to do one mundane task for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Washing and folding clothes. That
Yes.
this um thank goodness my wife has no problem doing those things, and I do them only when it's absolutely necessary and I have to. But that one is yes. If I could blink my eyes or snap my fingers and have that done, that would be the number one
Yes. I'd say the same.
thing. Nice.
Yeah. What's one thing that gets far too much coverage these days, like in general?
Well, you got to remember I'm in the United States, so it may not be the same in England, but I would say Donald Trump and American politics. Nothing can be so interesting that it can consume 24 hours of news. And so I think it's just absolutely ludicrous the amount of time that we spend, especially on one person. And it's to me it's a bit frustrating. And you heard me talk earlier about how I've kind of shut that off in my life because it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah. Like there's other things going on in the world. What are you talking about here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I consume the news that I do consume are off mainstream media kind of news so that I can get a feel for, because I've lived in East Africa, and I've lived in Europe and Asia and Japan, and I've done some little bit of time in Australia, and it's nice to actually see what's going on there, because there's actually some good news stories out there occasionally that you can find. So yeah, I agree.
Sweet. What's your favorite life hack?
Mm, you got me. I'm gonna.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Okay. Yes, that is interesting.
Yeah. Well, what's yours?
Well, I have
Is
different
that fair?
hacks for. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that
So
fair? Yeah.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
yours?
it's fair. I was checking if you can still hear me.
No. Yeah. I can hear you fine.
All right, very good. So I have different hacks for many other things. So for one thing, like the hack I have for mentally is whatever you do, ask yourself why. Why you're doing this. If you don't
Mhm.
know, don't do it. Simple as that.
Right.
For physically, keep walking until you genuinely feel tired, because
Yes.
walking is just like a slow-paced alternative to like exercising,
Right.
because you burn calories for every step you take, not so much as you do with proper exercise like lifting weights or doing push-ups, but it's something like for you to get out
Right.
and walk about and so on. So yeah, those are
Right.
the main two. I go on for every day.
Sure. Well, I don't want to be a bore, but I'll take the walking thing. If I had to pick one, I like that because I do a lot of it, and I make sure I get in my almost 5 miles a day on average. Um, and the majority of that's done in the morning in a chunk. So I totally get the whole walk until you're tired thing. The other one
Yeah.
is probably the other one's probably you don't know what you don't know, so don't make assumptions and go find out. How's that?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. That's vitally important for us to navigate as human beings and to clear up ambiguity that causes undue conflict.
Absolutely. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or have the agility of a cat?
breathe underwater. I think that underwater is fascinating. I think being able. I lived in Guam for 2 years, and I found that one of the most meditative activities that I've ever had in my life was snorkeling. And it was because my ears were underwater and I could still breathe. I could stay down for, a long amount of time. And that state is pretty amazing. So I don't scuba dive, but I understand exactly why people scuba dive, because it really clears up all the white noise of the world, and you get makes you meditative. It just relaxes you.
All right then. Yes, very good. Would you rather have extra fingers or extra toes?
Oh boy, probably fingers. And I'm sure that's the standard go to because you use your hands so much. If you had extra toes, you'd have more balance and a better base. Uh, and who knows how that pays off later on in life. So uh, maybe there's something to that. But right now, I could use a couple extra fingers.
Yep, absolutely. How much time do you spend on the internet?
Well, I'm very dependent on the internet for the work I do, especially with the consulting work and programs that I build. So I'd say in a day, depends on if I'm speaking or out meetings. I'd say in a day, 3 to 5 hours.
Hmm, that sounds like a good amount. Actually, it's surprisingly lower than most people have
Oh,
said. I spend like 9, 10 hours a day at
well,
max, at least.
I might be a little bit higher than that if you throw the phone in there, right? So in transit, and I've got the phone, and if I'm referencing something, but yeah, that's probably close. 6 hours, maybe.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
The wonderful, gracious, obnoxious man.
Ah, interesting.
Should I elaborate on that?
I don't know. If you want to, yes, I'm more than happy to
No,
hear it.
it's all good. Dave is a Dave is a pretty doggone good guy, and generally, people befriend me, and I'm a firm believer in the good nature of humans. So I interact with a lot of people, and I'm extremely extroverted. But my extroversion and my excitement can sometimes be viewed as obnoxious, at least initially. So that word can be put in there occasionally, and I'm very aware of that. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Hmm. Would you rather sleep on the wall or sleep on the ceiling?
Oh, the ceiling. Probably rather sleep on the ceiling.
Ah,
If you
yes.
sleep, if you sleep on the wall, there's certain things you can't see, and plus you're just closer to stuff on the ceiling, right? You're above
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. You too. You're a ceiling guy.
Yeah, I'm certainly a ceiling guy.
Yeah, yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
What should they teach in high school but they don't?
Mm. Shakespeare and theater, but they don't have to teach. It's not the memorization of Shakespeare. It's the interpretation, why he was doing things. Shakespeare, and Shakespeare is one person, but some of those older arts, the older acting out and the older writings, there's such deep meaning in there, and there's such struggle in there. And there's a level of transparency in that, even though it's a bit shrouded in entertainment or how you consume it. there's such transparency in that, and we've lost the ability to do that. We've lost the ability to write about our pain and our hurt and our lost loves and our challenges and the mistakes that we've made and how we've overcome them and life and death and that's all in there. And I think that there's some preparatory things for young children that if they could just even understand the basic interpretation of what that stuff is about, it's a tool for later on in life because sometimes life is Macbeth or Romeo and Juliet, and it kind of plays out that way.
Fabulous. What else? Would you rather not be able to open any closed doors or not be able to close any open doors?
Oh, I think all closed doors need to be opened because beyond there's the unknown space. That's the growing area, right?
Yeah, of
And that's the
course.
that's the courage. You got to go into the unknown to grow and develop and challenge yourself. And so, yes, I'd always want to be able to open the closed doors.
Yes, indeed. What happens in real life but rarely gets portrayed in movies?
Wow. There's probably a lot there. What happens in real life that barely um probably what you don't see in movies sometimes is the poor outcomes to children that have had bad beginnings. They never play out. The only movie you see about children that have bad beginnings are successful stories. Kids always hit a home run in the end. They always pull out. It always happens, and you very rarely see a movie made about a child that it ends negatively, poorly. There might be a few out there, but for the most part, when we do things about children, or we choose to tell a story about a true story, it's always a win at the end. I think that we're scared to show the negative outcome of children's bad beginnings.
Mm, that's interesting. That'd be quite the innovation, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's real though, right? I
Yeah,
mean
of
people lose
course.
people lose their children every day to cancer or trauma or those kind of things, and so yeah, it's something out there. Movies often, they play on our emotions. They're supposed to give us a break from reality, and but sometimes there's teaching. Back to my Shakespeare thing. Sometimes there's teaching in movies, and if you're responsible with the way you make the movies and present them to the wider audience, maybe there's a takeaway in there that helps you in life.
Yeah, of course. What is the best pair of shoes you own?
Oh, these one of these shoes I have on right now, and they're Hoka walking shoes, and I don't know if you're familiar with that brand. Um, I wore Asics forever and ever and ever, and a shoe store guy that knows his stuff put me in these Hokas, and they are fabulous. Uh, they're perfect for my feet, and I can get probably about 350 miles out of them before I got to switch them out.
All right then. Very good.
Yeah.
And this is a question from the top of my head. Have you heard of a drink called banana friche?
No.
That's right, I get that a lot.
Is that your favorite drink?
Oh, actually, it's something I made up on the spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So the gist of the question is to see if I was going to pretend I knew what you were talking about.
well, that's one bit. There are
Yeah,
others, but either way, you're
that's
close.
that's that's fabulous. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Keep doing
thank
that.
you.
You're welcome. Love it.
Yes. And that is all I have for this episode. It was great having you here, David, talking about working in consulting, being a nurse, a disaster manager, and a whole lot of other things. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care of England. We love it. We'll be back, and I sure appreciate your time.
Yep, me too. And until next time, stay tuned for more.